Have you ever felt that the world is too chaotic and that the mad ones seem to see truths that we can't? What if, in all this madness, the one deemed insane is actually the only one truly in touch with reality? In a world that constantly demands order and meaning, what if chaos is the only undeniable truth? This is the paradox at the heart of the Joker. Often seen as a villain, Joker is more than that. He embodies the very essence of existential philosophy. His madness isn't random destruction, it's a rejection of the systems we build to make sense of the world. In his worldview, life is meaningless, and it's up to each of us to create our own meaning in an indifferent universe. As we explore Joker's chaotic philosophy, we'll discover how his madness mirrors the existential struggles we all face, the search for purpose in a world that offers none. Join me as we unravel why, despite his madness, Joker holds the key to understanding life's deepest and most uncomfortable questions. At the core of existentialism is a question that has haunted humanity for centuries. What is the meaning of life? This question isn't confined to philosophers. It's something we all must face, and perhaps no character embodies the existential struggle more powerfully than the Joker. Existentialism teaches that life has no inherent meaning. We're born into a world that offers no preordained purpose, and it is up to each of us to create meaning in our own lives. Joker, in The Dark Knight, embodies this nihilistic philosophy. His actions reject the very notion of meaning or structure. He believes that life is absurd, and all attempts to create order are futile. Joker's philosophy aligns with the nihilism of existentialism, the idea that meaning is not given but created through individual choice. By rejecting societal norms, he demonstrates the freedom that comes with accepting life's meaninglessness. But freedom without meaning can be destructive. Joker's chaotic actions reflect the madness that can arise when we live without any purpose or structure. Jean-Paul Sartre's idea of radical freedom suggests that while we are free to define our existence, this freedom comes with the responsibility to create our own meaning. Joker, in his complete rejection of any structure, showcases the dangers of this absolute freedom, leading not to enlightenment but to madness. Joker's journey mirrors our own existential struggle. We must decide whether to create meaning within the chaos or accept the emptiness. In his embrace of freedom and chaos, Joker forces us to confront the absurdity of existence and ask, how do we find meaning in a world that offers none? In a world that thrives on structure and order, Joker represents the stark rejection of this very idea. The chaos he embodies isn't just an individual choice, it's a response to the absurdity of the modern world. In The Dark Knight, Joker forces us to confront a world that is, at its core, broken, filled with injustice, corruption, and contradictions. To him, society's attempt to impose order and meaning is nothing but a facade. The existentialist philosopher Albert Camus argued that life is inherently absurd because humans have an innate need for meaning in a universe that offers none. The absurdity arises when we confront this gap between our desire for order and the chaos that surrounds us. Joker, with his relentless pursuit of anarchy, reflects this existential truth. He sees the modern world as one filled with meaningless structures, and in rejecting them, he exposes the absurdity of trying to impose logic or morality where there is none. Joker's actions in the film are not simply those of a villain, they are a critique of the modern world's moral framework. The world Joker inhabits is one where justice is a commodity, and power is often in the hands of the corrupt. In a world like this, where moral codes are selectively applied, Joker reveals how fragile and arbitrary these systems are. He forces us to see that, in the grand scheme, the rules we live by are constructed to serve a system that benefits the few, not the many. His chaotic philosophy isn't aimed at destruction for destruction's sake. It's a deliberate challenge to the illusion of control that society so desperately clings to. He shows us that in the grand scope of existence, we are all vulnerable to chaos, and the systems we create to protect us are ultimately fragile. Joker's philosophy echoes Camus' view that the human condition is filled with absurdity. But where Camus proposes revolt, Joker takes it a step further by not only rejecting meaning, but embracing chaos as the ultimate truth. This leaves us with an unsettling realization. In a world so full of contradictions and injustice, How do we find our own path? Freedom is often seen as a gift, something that allows us to shape our lives as we wish. But in existential philosophy, it's also a burden. With freedom comes the responsibility to create meaning in a world that offers none. Joker, as portrayed in The Dark Knight, represents this paradox of absolute freedom, the exhilarating yet destructive force of living without rules or limitations. Joker operates without any moral code, laws, or societal structures. He lives by his own rules, creating a reality where he alone decides what's right or wrong. To him, freedom is the ultimate truth. No boundaries, no restrictions, just pure autonomy. But while this sounds liberating, Joker's life is not one of peace or joy, it's one of chaos and madness. This is where his freedom turns against him. In Existentialism, Sartre's concept of radical freedom suggests that without the framework of society, we are left to define ourselves. But this complete freedom can lead to overwhelming alienation and despair. For Joker, rejecting all meaning and structure doesn't lead to enlightenment or fulfillment, it leads to his descent into madness. In embracing chaos, Joker becomes trapped by his own choices. He is free yet shackled by the consequences of his radical freedom. Joker's story is a powerful reminder of the costs of total freedom. Without constraints, we risk losing our sense of identity and purpose. His madness is a consequence of the freedom to act without limits, without any responsibility to the moral codes that bind society together. For Joker, this total liberation becomes a prison, a constant spiral of destruction and chaos. His actions show that freedom can be just as consuming as it is liberating, especially when there are no boundaries to keep us grounded. In the end, Joker's philosophy forces us to ask, can we truly handle absolute freedom? Is it possible to live without any restrictions, or does such freedom inevitably lead to self-destruction? As Joker's madness illustrates, the search for meaning in a world without structure can consume us, leaving us questioning whether freedom is worth the cost. Joker isn't just a villain, he's a force of disruption aimed at exposing the fragility of modern society. Throughout The Dark Knight, Joker pushes us to confront the false pretenses of the systems we rely on: justice, law, morality. He doesn't simply destroy for the sake of chaos. He reveals that beneath society's surface lies chaos, corruption, and contradiction. To Joker, the structures that govern society are nothing more than illusions. He exposes the weakness of these constructs by testing them, forcing individuals to make impossible moral decisions, like the choice between saving the fairies or hostages. His actions are a critique of how fragile and arbitrary societal norms truly are. Joker's philosophy reflects existentialism, particularly Simone de Beauvoir and Nietzsche, who argued that societal norms restrict individual freedom. Joker's rejection of these norms is an extreme form of the will to freedom, but this total rejection leads him to alienation and madness. His story challenges us to question, are we living in a world built on illusions? Joker doesn't offer answers, but he forces us to recognize the fragility of societal values and the consequences of embracing total freedom. Joker's madness stems from a profound existential question. What is the meaning of life? In a world that offers no inherent meaning, how does one find purpose? Existentialism teaches that life is indifferent, and it's up to each person to create their own meaning. Joker in The Dark Knight embodies this existential crisis. Joker rejects societal norms and structures, believing that life is absurd and meaningless. For him, true freedom comes from embracing the chaos of existence, rejecting any moral or societal boundaries. But while freedom is liberating, it leads Joker to madness, showing the cost of rejecting meaning. His philosophy challenges us to reflect on our own search for purpose. We too are faced with the absurdity of life, constantly balancing between creating meaning and confronting the chaos around us. Joker's journey, extreme as it may be, mirrors the human struggle to find purpose in a world that doesn't offer it. His madness is a painful reminder that freedom without structure can lead to isolation and destruction. In the end, Joker teaches us that the search for meaning isn't straightforward. It's filled with contradictions, chaos, and the harsh realization that life may never provide clear answers. But in embracing this, we gain the ultimate freedom, the power to create meaning for ourselves.